I think that different content plays different roles at different places in the purchase decision cycle. So if you think about the more emotional content, and Johnson's has some great examples of very emotional content. The latest out of Brazil was the wonderful montage of the Downs baby and the specialness of all children and the little wonders that all children bring us. You know, that was a very emotional piece of content. And that plays a role in sort of reinforcing that love of the brand and the equity of the brand and what we stand for from a leadership perspective. But at the same time, when we're introducing new features or benefits on our products, so whether it is a new newborn line that we launched a couple of years ago in Brazil, or whether it is the sleep time product that we've introduced and relaunched globally, those are more functional products, and so we have more functional advertising. So it's really a mix of everything, the functional and the emotional, that ultimately makes for a great brand. And that's really what we're ultimately striving for. Our investment in digital, which includes mobile and social, has continued to increase really dramatically. In the last year, we've moved from about 26 to 28% up to 37% of our total media investment. And every single country is accelerating their investments. So we've seen huge increases in Brazil, we've seen huge increases in China, we've seen huge increases in the UK. And all this is in line with sort of following the consumer and where the consumer is, because screens are no longer these static, you know, I watch it in my living room and it's my television. The screens are everywhere and people are accessing content on demand. And so we're there where people are, and we're seeing the good news is on all of this is we're seeing actually our digital investment and the return on investment in our digital investment actually now starting to surpass television, which is fantastic because it means for every dollar that we're investing, we're getting that much more in terms of return. I think P&G announced that they were cutting their non-working marketing investment. So that's all the money that they spend with their agencies on production. And it is fair to say that I think every company is doing that. They're looking at putting more dollars into working dollars, so the things that the consumer actually sees. And so at Johnson & Johnson, we've done the same. We spent a lot of time really looking at our huge roster of agencies, because when you look at our agencies beyond just the creative agencies, there's digital agencies, there's professional agencies, there's social agencies, there's search agencies. And so we've really looked at this massive list of agencies and said, what do we really need? And focus there. We've also looked at our content overall and made sure that we're only producing what is necessary. So what we found as we did a content audit is a lot of content is produced, but it's not used very extensively. We really only want to produce the content that's used. And then finally, we're really looking at a lot of new production techniques, because the world of television and video production has advanced so much through technology over the last few years that there's much cheaper, more efficient ways to produce the same content, but at a lower cost. So yes, I think it's fair to say that this is something that is happening broadly across the industry, but it's not so much cutting overall marketing investment, it's much more about shifting marketing investment from non-working media dollars to working media dollars. I believe the role of a CMO is already Chief Growth Officer. So you can call me whatever you want, but at the end of the day, my job is to get more people to buy my brands and products more often. And when I do that, I drive growth. So, you know, I talk a lot about our overarching ambition, which is to build the world's most beloved and admired brands and therefore be the fastest growing CPG. So growth is already inherent in what I strive for. I think the reason some of this repositioning is happening in the marketplace is perhaps their CMOs weren't as focused on growth. That might be one reason. But the second reason is because the job of the CMO is becoming much more challenging in that, we used to live in a world where we sold through bricks and mortar. We maybe had food, drug, and mass as our main channels of business. Yet if you look at where the world is moving today, if I look at my beauty category, my baby category, I have 11% of total sales that are sold in e-commerce. So I have to learn, and my organization has to learn, how to drive growth in e-commerce. So that is a different type of business that I'm managing against. So I do think that with some of the challenges and opportunities that chief marketing officers face, they do need to be thinking all the time about how they drive growth in new places, because there's so many new places to drive growth in the world today. So I'm really excited to announce something that as an industry we announced this week in Cannes, and it is the Unstereotype Alliance. It's a partnership with a number of our advertising agencies, so IPG and WPP are big parts of it, as well as many packaged goods partners like myself, Procter & Gamble, Unilever, Johnson & Johnson, and actually AT&T is joining as well, where we are committed to helping to eliminate stereotypes in advertising. Because if you think about where sometimes these stereotypes come from, they are emphasized through the over-the-top communication that people see. And so we've all put it on ourselves to say, we need to eliminate these stereotypes in our own advertising. Those are the things that we can control within our four walls. But more importantly, we've each committed an amount of money over the next 10 years to research what progress we're making against taking stereotypes out of advertising. And so our first study will be in 2018, and we'll get a baseline, and then from there, over the next 10 years, we'll measure to what degree we're making progress and take appropriate action. So I think that's something that broadly as an industry, we're very committed to doing. And I think it's wonderful when you see, companies that generally are competitors coming together and saying, we're going to help change this and we're going to drive the change together. So that's a great example of something that we're doing that was announced this week in Cannes.